1990. I'm going to take you back to 1940. This is the wedding of Martin and Eleanor Johnson at Cranbrook Institute in Bloomfield Hills. 50 years ago. Eleanor's brother Don was standing there. There's our Chevrolet 36 Chev. We just borrowed a camera. There's some friends, relatives from all over. My brother Norman is driving our 36 Chev. Eleanor getting into the car, and that's Eva in blue, Howard standing there. Howard walking up the sidewalk, my brother Norman driving. And that's Betty Murdoch and Marion, Eleanor's sister, and Eva, Howard's wife. That's Eleanor's mother. Howard's driving his. Oh, that looks like our car too. That was at the wedding at the church. Now we're going to the reception. That's what Eleanor looked like 50 years ago. And there's the maids, the bridesmaids, Eva and Marion, Eleanor and Betty. And we sure had to pour the light on to get any pictures at that time. Great big number 4 floods. I don't know who that was. That was my friend Ernie. He was in the wedding party. Norman, my brother. Here comes Eleanor's dad. Peekaboo. Betty and Eva, Marion, and another stranger intruding in there. Yeah, we're all lined up for pictures. This is my friend Stan Eubank. Well, there's my mother. I was learning to be a photographer at the time, and Stan Eubank was my man that was photographer that I was training under. I told Mother, get in closer, get in closer. There's my pop. I'll give her a kiss. That's it. Yeah. Now, we took a ride over to Belle Isle, but the film jammed and I opened up the camera and ruined all the films. But now we jump up a few years, and this is our little Jeannie. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Yeah, she was a happy little girl. There she is, taking a bath. It's 6 months. Yeah, she was born in July, and this was her first Christmas. I had quite a time putting together all these films, the 16 millimeters. It took them 100 feet at a time. Now these video cameras are just marvelous. She still 6 months at this time? Yeah, at 6 months she could get up on her feet. I kept trying and trying to get her standing up. I would have the camera going and she wouldn't, and then when I didn't have the camera going, why then she'd stand up. I finally got her. She was a happy little girl, a bundle of joy. I had her sitting up there, and then she's tipped over and I dropped the camera to catch her. It ought to be coming pretty soon. Oh, I must have cut it off in editing. Yeah, Grandma says this is a christening desk. Now this is the 4th of July. The next year would be, Jeannie would just be a year old. If we didn't skip a year, we'll have to wait and see what else is in the pictures. Yeah, must be a little bit later than Jeannie's first year. Yeah, she must be about 3 years old. These lineup of the neighborhood kids. We were living in Evanston at the time, and I had a studio in that town. These are neighbor kids. There's Jeannie. Now there's little Freddie. This is before Stan was born. And there's my dad holding Freddie. And still neighbors. And there's Gertie. You know, there's Aunt. This is a boat out on Lake Michigan that I had. Let's see if we can figure out who's on the surfboard. That's my brother Norman. And Eleanor and Freddie, and must have been Verna. Yeah, that's Verna and Jeannie. Verna is Norman's wife. That's Norman out on the surfboard. Boat didn't go very fast, but we sure did have fun. Yeah, it took a spill. Now this is me. This is before the days of water skis. Water skis were developed after that. Whoa, standing on my head. And then underwater. Yeah. This is just north of Chicago on Lake Michigan. And this is the beach where we could pull in at. Big house, we don't know, have any idea who owns it. Jeannie and Freddie. Hi there, little girl. Yeah. Woof, woof. My brother Norman's still sitting out on the boat. And this is skinny old me. I must have weighed 135 pounds. Panoramic view of the beach around the lake. You know, Freddie was so unhappy. He wanted to eat the sand. He was eating a handful of sand, and Jeannie took it away from him. He was really upset. Hey, there's Jeannie. Now this is sometime later, after we left Chicago and came back to Dearborn. That's Stanley. 1951 it says on there. I think it was Jeannie drew that for a title page. You just have to kind of guess at the kids' ages. Got kind of stuck there. And Jeannie to the rescue. There's Mama and Jeannie. Freddie and Stan. I set the camera on a tripod and left it on automatic, walked into the picture. Now I'll walk back to turn it off. This is Norman's house in Grosse Pointe. That's Dale, Norman's boy. Yeah. And Dale again. Now we had quite a surprise. We didn't even know Verna was expecting it. Here, when we were visiting over there, why, she came driving home with a new baby. And that's Al Armour's wife there. And here comes Gertie, Aunt Gertie, with her brand new Pontiac. Now I wonder how come everything is in reverse. Must have been because I shot it in black and white and the emulsion was on the other side of the film, and in order to keep it in focus I just had to put it in backwards. The emulsion's on a different side of the film for black and white than it is in color. Easter time, and this is Howard's house on Hayes Avenue, I guess it is. And there's Don, Eleanor's brother Don, holding their little girl. Harry Williams and Rita. And there's Gertie. And that was our Rocket 88 Oldsmobile that we had at the time.
Ann and Lois?
Yeah, Ann and Lois, Marion's daughters.
That must have been Jenny and Bill, too.
And that was Eva's mother looking out the door.
This is William.
This is Don's wife. There's Eva. Little Eva. Now this is a park over in Dearborn. I had a camera that did a few tricks. Kids all love to play outdoors. A little bit of fast motion on the camera. Zip, zip, zip. And a little bit of slow motion. Now this was in our house in Montrose. Playing around with the camera again. That was a picture of our first television set. That was some years ago. Oh, now this is over at the Yacht Club, where I went over to make movies of the Commodore's Ball. And this is where Jeannie met Jay. He was assistant manager over there. Gave us a lot of help. Well, that was the Commodore's wife. Oh, and the Commodore himself. Must have been a lot of good music playing. Now we're starting Reel 2. We're making a trip out to California. This is the Badlands of South Dakota. We're losing quite a bit of color in the copy here. The projected image has got a bit more color. I guess you can recognize those. Yeah, Mount Rushmore. Jeannie must have been about 13 then. Because it was the next trip we made to Colorado. She got her driver's license. That's driving up in the mountains. And this is our Rocket 88. Met some of the local local inhabitants.
Fred was about 10 and Stan was about 8. Colorado Canary.
Yeah. Freddie finally caught up to one. First was hard to chase and catch one. After a while, then you couldn't get rid of them. The only sight of a buffalo that I missed him. He ran away. Now this is going up over a pass. Oh, I wish I could remember. This is up in Wyoming.
Waterfall.
Yeah. We should have run through this and written down all the details of a script, but we're just going ad-libbing as we go along. Haven't seen these for years. We got this little cabin up in the mountains to stay overnight.
Wyoming.
Oh, this area was famous for the Battle of Bighorn. Yeah. Little monkey shines of the camera. More driving through the mountains. That's
Wyoming.
4th of July parade. Cody, Wyoming. We're coming up into, we're heading for Yellowstone National Park. And this is down in the plains just before you start up the mountains. They had this parade, so we stopped to watch. Yeah, Buffalo Bill. They had about 6 Buffalo Bills in this parade. And they were throwing up light bulbs or something, and they were shooting them. I never had the camera going. Finally got one. I had the camera in between the gun and the thing he hit, but this is farther up the river where they had a dam hold back the river for their water supply. This is still on the road on the way up to Yellowstone Park. Mama was sitting up there and her feet wouldn't work for her. She couldn't get out on the dam. That's a high, high mountain. More driving. Then we got up into the entrance of Yellowstone Park. It was so hot on the 4th of July down there in the valley. And we were up high and there was still snow laying there. We took our ice chest, filled it up with this snow, and it lasted for days, keeping our food cool. It was hard, slippery snow, crusted and packed down from the sun shining on it. Wham bam. There's the ice chest, filling it up full of snow. Yeah, this is the first bear I saw. Took 2 or 3 times. I got so excited I couldn't seem to get it in focus. I think long about the third bear I finally got it focused. There. We couldn't afford a camera of our own. Every time we go on a trip I'd borrow one from somebody. And this is
Old Faithful.
The Old Faithful Geyser in Yellowstone. I saw this crowd gathering, and I thought I'd get right up in front of everybody and take a picture, and then it went up so high I couldn't even get it in, so I just sat there and waited till it started to die down, and then it would fit into the frame. I would have been much better off to get behind the crowd, because it really went up high in the air. Now, let's see, we're still in Wyoming. This is probably through Yellowstone Park when we went down to Jackson Hole. Stanley just insisted on riding that one horse. He was so hard to catch and everything. And finally we let him have it, and he got on, and then the old nag just wouldn't move at all. He just didn't like people. He couldn't catch him, and then when he got on him, why, he just wouldn't go. He'll stand there trying to get him to move. Come on, you old nag.
Allie?
Yeah, my mother's sister, Aunt Allie, and her husband George, and her son Vern. There's Lila. She's the only one of the bunch that's still alive. She's about probably near 90 years old and living out in California. Now this is San Francisco. We drove down the coast, came across the Golden Gate Bridge, and then went over to Oakland, but this was a shot coming back. Now we're down to Fisherman's Wharf. And it was so hot when we got there, we just couldn't stand it, and then we get into San Francisco, and it's so cool, we had to put our jackets on. San Francisco is a cool place. And here comes the cable car. Freddie taking a picture. And just recently, these cable cars have all been completely rebuilt. Such a town attraction that they got them modernized and running again. But it's still the old cable system that runs underground. The cars clamp onto the cable. Now here is the top of the crookedest street in the world. We'll take pictures at the various levels of the street. Here's how the road has to go up the hill. It's just zigzag all the way up. One block of nothing but zigzags. That camera setting was right in the middle. First we looked down and swung around and looked up. Now here's one from the bottom. And I speeded up the camera a little bit, just for effect. Beautiful town. I always did love San Francisco. Now we're leaving, and we got down to a place called Twin Peaks. The road goes up near these Twin Peaks, and we got out of the car and aimed the camera back just for a last look at San Francisco. Now we're down in Los Angeles, Long Beach, and I visited my dad's grave. And this is after my mother died. He went out there and married this woman. He was very happy. She took us to Knott's Berry Farm, and Disneyland all in one day. We didn't realize what a show place it was, each place. We should have just stayed in one each day, but we did them both up. In fact, it was about the first year that Disneyland was open. There wasn't anything but orange groves across the street from it. Now it's old city. We were there last year for a square dance convention, and buildings around there are old and dilapidated already.
This is still not very
Yeah, yeah, we're still at the farm. They have a steam train. This old train came from Colorado, Denver and Rio Grande, with a narrow gauge. The kids sure loved the horses. They wanted to ride every place we go. Another time I couldn't seem to get things in focus with a borrowed camera. Michigan family. That was my dad's wife. Sheenie and the kids. Ma. Now it was just turning dark. It was after sundown when we got over to Disneyland. Lights were all on. And our gang all together. A river boat. It was an interesting ride. Oh, this was, I believe, in 1956. And we got down to the beach. We all took a little swim in the Pacific Ocean.
That's Denny that's with us.
Oh. Don's daughter, Denny. She's a mama now with big kids.
June?
It's Eleanor's niece. Or is it cousin? Cousin June.
Don's baby?
Yeah. One of June's little daughters. They lived in Los Angeles.